So last week, Team Liquid managed to beat Fnatic 2-0, but not only that, they managed to absolutely destroy them on Ascent. This is not something that you see happen very often to a team like Fnatic, so how did Liquid do it? Well, let's kick it off with the bonus round here for Team Liquid, and in this one, just take a look at how proactive they are from the very start, and then continuing onward.
Yeah, definitely. Someone who has taken like a duck to water in this controller role. Camo will be that first point of contact, and well, his teammates.
So straight away from Team Liquid here, this is quite interesting. One thing we will see quite a lot is Liquid being kind of weak on the A side to start, right? They know that Fnatic, I mean, one, you know the Fnatic aren't going to do any fast hits anyway, so you know you can have some time to kind of, you know, do some aggressive plays like this if you want. But this is a good punish of what Fnatic like to do in terms of kind of, you know, getting Alpha and B main. It's something that Fnatic like to do a lot, is they're going to smoke this. You can see the smoke is actually on its way already. They're going to send a dart in here that actually ends up being a bit late because they're going to swing ahead of it, right? And what they want to do is get Alpha inserted in B main, put this trip down in B main, and then, you know, feel free to kind of, you know, run off after and come back to it if that trip hasn't been destroyed. But Liquid say, we know, you know, those kind of things that you like to do. We do end up going 1 for 1. So it's not a disaster for Fnatic here, but now that you've killed Alpha, Team Liquid kind of know early on, like, okay, we can just now leave that. You know, no one's going to go in there anytime soon, and now they're going to drone mid and actually go for a bit of a mid re-explore here. So you see we're going to get Camo kind of on this deep line, and in this round, you know, Liquid were extremely proactive and found the gaps here in Fnatic's default, right? You see they're going for this mid fight. They managed to get a tag there on Kayak, and now we're continuing with the aggression. We don't stop, right? We are still aggressive here throughout, and we get Camo into this spot. This is crazy good by Team Liquid, right? Like, crazy good read of the round and where they are and finding those gaps. And again, you know, maybe against other teams you think, oh, minute mark, they might be grouping up for an exec now. Well, against Fnatic, maybe not, right? Maybe you still feel like you have that time to explore that, and then, you know, we're out. Now, Camo actually continues to be aggressive and tries to go back for another kill. Ultimately ends up dying there to Crashies, who does get tagged. But now we're in a 3v3, and Fnatic are a little bit, you know, lost at this point. They are going to eventually, you know, manage to saunter on over here towards the B site, but they have no idea where Trex really is at this point, and he's going to completely shut them down.
With Fnatic is that clock, and they are walking into Trex, the one purchased up Phantom. He was one of the main reasons they were able to close out the last map. If he can close out this round, they're going to be off to a flyer of a start. And they were pulling out utility. They were expecting him to be at the back of the site. With the amount of time, you can understand why. But now that clock gets even more dangerous. And Trex alone on the B site.
Okay, now let's skip ahead to the very next round, where Fnatic are going to come and do this A split. We're going to start the round from this point, because really, I just want to talk about the post plan.
I mentioned, if we can see the best of Trex, this team could be a world beater. There's already plenty of those on the other side, though. Kayak started off strong. Trex will be the one to respond, and Nats is playing around his own setup. There's a reason you still see him on this Cypher and not switching things up. He creates his own luck, but there have been trades across the board. The advantage has dissipated for the side of Liquid, but they do still have some heavy hitters left.
Camo for a second scared me. He was going out
planted
as the spike was being planted. Now he's got teammates with him, or at least one. It's Fnatic who has to take up that mantle. A 1 versus 2. Alfier still playing with the headhunter. In towards main, no chance to recover a weapon, but Paddy has to first get past Chronicle. He's holding out on the angle. He's got a good read on the situation. A great shot. And a knife for info that will be avoided, but the steps, he heard them, no? I think he did. The deep flash, look at the diffuse. It's in a perfect position. Alpha's got to run. He's got to sprint. He might be too late, but now he's got behind the boxes. He pulled Fnatic off, but even still, Paddy's able to get it done.
Okay, so let's talk about this then, because Team Liquid did win a couple of these situations in this map where, you know, rounds that they probably shouldn't be winning, right? Or rounds that you would expect Fnatic to normally close out, right? So in a 2v3 here, you know, guns, you know, they've got enough guns here, enough weaponry to win this round. Crashies end up dying on its own, but okay, Chronicle does manage to get the trade. But it's this that I want to talk about, right? After Chronicle has got that kill, the spike is planted in a bad spot, and I just don't, like, these are some of the things that you just don't, like, there's just a certain level of player like Chronicle that you just don't think would make this decision, right? So the spike is planted behind Gen here. Alpha's in a tough spot, and he's just kind of holding this line. Well, at this point, I would expect Chronicle to maybe just, you know, drop back in, you know, to 1v2, you know, this guy in theory could come through heaven as well, right? Like, it's not impossible for him to, you know, walk back up there. It's a decision that's, you know, some players might make. Instead, he decides to go on this kind of, you know, much more aggressive angle, but... And I get it's somewhat unexpected, but it's a 1v2, and you're just kind of freezing Alpha somewhat out of the round, where you're both kind of just, you know, watching one way. And Alpha actually turns around for a second here, thinking that he might have ran back all the way A main. I don't really know how, because he's gonna time himself out, even if he does kill you from A main. But they see him. Okay, now we've seen where he is. Again, Chronicle has this chance to, like, reposition, and he does reposition. But once he gets to this point again, it's like, well, now just come back into hell. Right, and just play time and play with Alpha and his contact. Instead, he tries to take the fight, and Patty just gets rid of him, right? So, like, these, again, are situations you don't expect Fnatic to really lose, but Chronicle has put Alpha in a pretty rough spot there. And between the two of them, you know, either Alpha needs to be much more aggressive, you know, potentially when they've figured out exactly, you know, where he's coming from, or Chronicle more likely needs to play, you know, just a bit safer in general, you know, tuck into this side of hell and just play the crossfire. It's not something you associate with Fnatic getting those situations quite wrong a lot of the time, but in this map, they kind of did. Okay, now let's skip ahead to round number 6, and I think that this one just goes to show that Liquid had a great read on Fnatic. They knew what was going on a lot of the time, and they did a fantastic job, right? So again, we start with this more aggressive B setup. We're happy to play retake A. We've got a KO ult this round. And again, we get Camo set up here with an early camera there. We get Camo set up on this deep line saying we're gonna, you know, take B main. Right, we're gonna take B main. Not only that, though, they've also shut the B door. And I thought that this was just such a clever idea from Team Liquid, right? To shut this B door. The reason why this is such a good idea is because, one, you know the Fnatic are going to play slow. So when the time starts getting low, and if they do want to go for this B split, you know, this door just is like an extra problem for them, right? That when that time gets low, you know, they're in trouble. But also, once you've got this guy inserted here in B main, and you trust Camo, who's got an op here, you know, to just be on this line, well then, with this door shut here, again, Fnatic, you know, are going to take it slow. Look at what they can do, right? They can bring, like, all these players into mid. So if Fnatic, you know, were thinking of, you know, going for some sort of B split at this moment in time, well, Liquid can essentially pinch them with the door, right? Like, as they're breaking the door, they could potentially go for, you know, some aggressive play if they wanted to. And now that, you know, that moment has kind of gone and passed, and Alpha inserts himself into this position. But again, I just want you to watch here. They haven't heard anything in B main, right? Camo's been here in B main this whole time, hasn't heard anything, hasn't seen anyone, right? So watch, in a second, they're going to KO knife here on short, and it's going to suppress these two players. And Camo just goes, okay, well, they're not going B, right? And again, you just know, and they put the camera there as well just to check, but now they know, they just know the round, right? So look, Camo's going to just insta-rotate. He's even aware that Alpha is there. Thanks, Mitch, for that big circle. You know, he smokes it off, you know, so he can cross. They just know the round, right? And again, they're happy to play this A retake with their KO ult, and they were happy to play a retake. You know, we've already seen one just there in the last round. Like, in general, their A side, as I said, was a bit weaker. They were happy to play a retake, but with this ult, you know, they're happy to play it. They know where Alpha is. Look at these two. They know where he is. They know what, they know the round. They've downloaded Fnatic here. They get that kill on Althea, and now we're just going to see a nice little A retake, 5v4, with a KO ult.
It looked like that was on, but it's not connected. Nice work from Trex, and now they're going to deny all of that utility. Hunter's Fury will not be available, but you look at the position that Crashes is in, and wow, there he is, swinging out immediately. Pico is actually going to manage the res. They thought it was bait. I can kind of understand it was risky, but the fights have just all gone in their favor. All the stands in their way is the IGL of Boaster, but he will not get a chance.
So let's take a look at this post plant then, and there are some things that we do need to point out here, right? One is obviously that Fnatic go for this kind of aggressive, they try and sort of fight this area here. I do want to just talk about Boaster though, right? Just take a look at Boaster. I actually don't know what he's doing. This is a 3v5 because of Boaster here, right? He's made this decision of, I'm going to come for this flank here. When they kill this KO, he decides I'm going to run all the way back to A main. I actually don't know what he's doing because he's just taken himself completely out of the round, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense here. And we get Kiko here going for this res. I don't know. I think if Kiko knew that they were right here, you know, he probably wouldn't be doing that. If I had to guess, I guess he thinks that, you know, they've just gone back after getting this kill. And so he's just gone, well, this is safe enough to res, so I will. I'm sure if he knew that they were right there. And I think Fnatic do think that he's just tapping that for bait. But, I mean, look at Boaster here, man. I mean, Like, if you just take a look, so, you know, this retake is kind of starting now, you know, they're coming back into tree here, Liquid. He's in a position now to potentially come this way. He's going that way. Now I'm coming this way. Oh, this KO knife has missed me. I'm in a good spot. I've got a good timing here, guys. Oh, we've killed the KO. That means that I need to run all the way back to main. But it's like the Liquid aren't just going to completely stop for you. They're not going to wait for you, Boaster. Like, just make a choice. You know, at that point, you've already kind of made your decision. And I guess maybe he's thinking the spike is planted here, so if he's last alive, he needs to be in main. But, you know, either way, just make a choice. Make a choice and stick with it at some point, because you basically just didn't have any impact in the round. But now let's skip ahead to round number 8, and this is one of my favorite rounds in this map, because again, it just goes to show Liquid, great plan, great understanding, playing very well, and just knowing how to play against Fnatic, essentially, right? Because you're going to see here that we start off with a bit of an A main skirmish this time, and, you know, if Fnatic are skirmishing A main, and, you know, just basically just follow Althea, right? Where Althea is, you know, Fnatic will often try and get him set up into some angle, somewhere on the map, but they did a good job at Liquid of kind of just constantly denying that, right? Denying him that space, and they got the right read here as well. Now, Fnatic do come into B main, as we see just here, but what's actually happened is they've actually shut the door. So if we come a bit earlier, you'll see the Patatech here. Again, he's just going to shut this door. And you know that Fnatic and the comp that they're playing, they're not just going to run a lot of, like, straight execs, right? Particularly when they don't have ults online, like Vice ult or Yoru ult. You know, they're not going to run a lot of straight execs. So by shutting this door, again, it just means that you know Fnatic are going to play slow. And I want you to watch now, right? Like, if we look at the map right now, if Fnatic just ran a B-split at this point, they're droning into the site, right? Like, which is often a sign of go button. We're going to Silver ult here. If they just actually did just, you know, like, hey, guys, let's just go to the site. They're in a great spot, right? Like, this, look at the map right now. You got 3 players as far away from this B site as possible. But Liquid, they've shut the door, so that's going to delay these guys a little bit. And they know it's Fnatic, so they're going to play slow. They're not going to want to do that. And look how much time it buys these guys to actually eventually get across, and Fnatic just are completely stalled out.
The map. So this is one of the weakest positions that we've seen. Nat's also tagged up. In theory, should be dead to rights, but he is dancing, weaving. He's managed to dodge every pulse, and with the TP to the other side, now B ends up bolstered.
Push coming through from Camo. Could play a role in the late game, especially if Fnatic decide to go back, but I'm not sure that's really an option, especially not with Boaster going down. Now they're locked in. It's the B site taker, nothing. They go while smokes are up, but now faded towards the spawn. Kiko sitting inside his own, waiting to strike. Nice shot. There's Camo on the late play through middle, and they've left Althea isolated. Fnatic out of pause, as we said it last map.
So yeah, from this point, I mean, it is crazy. Camo was able to actually get involved in this round by coming all the way around here before Fnatic do anything. You know, Fnatic walk out onto this front part of site. They never even actually touch the site, right? They just lack that go button. They just lack that oomph, you know? So Nats knows, like, as long as he lives here from the Silver ult back site, you know, and these guys are just, I don't even know. But you see, like, at this point, it's 7-0. They were a bit lost, right? They were kind of lost. Because, I mean, even this, right? We're kind of coming into the site. Boaster's waiting for someone, you know, to rotate, but eventually does that. Liquid are very disciplined, right? Trex, again, just understands they're likely to do this. And again, this is a thing of shutting this B door, right? When you shut this B door, it becomes insanely more likely that someone's going to try this, right? And you know that. And again, these guys knew that. Those 2 players knew that that was a likely case of, like, hey, we've shut the door. It's likely that someone's going to try that because, you know, it seems like an open gap, right? And then we see eventually Fnatic kind of dawdle onto site, and again, they're just kind of a bit lost here. And as I say, Camo's had the time to walk around literally all the way through A and all the way back up mid by the time that Fnatic have really even tried to touch the site. So Fnatic were a bit lost, you could see that, but Team Liquid were taking every advantage from that. But let's also just show some love to Team Liquid, because at 9-0, they really decided to just, like, rub it in and go, well, let's just do a tiles crunch around 10 when we're 9-0 up.
But here we go. 9-0. And just look how confident they're playing. They are right up mid already. There's going to be crashes to try and find some semblance, some balance, but there is nothing to be found.
Yep, and not only is it a tiles crunch that is completely unexpected, it's already 9-0. You're really rubbing it in that you are a way better team at this point. but also it's a great execution of said Tiles Crunch, right? It's not just doing it, it's also doing it extremely well. And again, just, you know, like everything, you know, this paranoia is great, the flash is great, the dash works. You know, we've then got 2 players kind of supporting from this other side just here, right? So you got Patatech winning a fight here in top mid, you know, as the support tries to come out for Fnatic. You know, Crashy's managed to get 1, but at this point he's already dead. And then Nats is coming as a second support here on Cat as well. Just an insanely good, like, everyone working together, everyone understanding their role in the plan, knowing what Fnatic's response is going to be as well, and absolutely shutting it down. But what's even better is then in the next round going, well, let's do it again, but add a Silver ult in here as well. Who does a Tiles Crunch 10-0 up after just doing one the round before? It's genius by Liquid, and again, it worked.
That round was incredibly quick, and they're going for it again. Disrespect. They want to try and close this one out quick. A lot of damage already being done, and this is a weaker purchase. Hunter's Fury has just found the double. They are getting destroyed. This is men against boys, and Fnatic have never been on the other end of a trouncing like this. They have managed themselves a single kill. And while within, yeah, he's trying to escape off the side. I can't blame him.
Okay, this is maybe flipping back in their favor. Kayak ended up getting hit by that Hunter's Fury as well. It tagged 3 players B main, 1 outside of A. Global utility from Trex. Both of these so desperately low. This push into Kiko, low as he may be. He's got the angle, and he's not letting go.